This millionaire gives a secret playbook on how we can also become millionaires.
Orgasm
Watch.
every hour. So
It's coming.
what can be better than this?
Much of what I do here when I'm having these conversations is I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the person who is currently sat in a 9-to-5 job, and they've got an idea, and their idea hasn't really gone anywhere yet necessarily, and the pressure they're feeling in their lives is probably now a financial one. Like, they want financial freedom, they want more optionality in their lives to be able to go on holiday, make more choices, and have more freedom. If you're that person, what are the mental models that we haven't discussed yet that you need to be thinking about to get from 0 to 1?
So one of the things to keep in mind is that we live in a world now where most things that you would want to do in terms of starting a business are not capital intensive.
What does that mean?
Doesn't take much money. In fact, what's been happening over time is startups need less and less and less money because they need more and more and more brain power, right? So the good news is that a gating factor is not that you need money. When I started my business, I signed up for every credit card that would come to me. So I had 70,000 in unused credit lines in probably a dozen Visa and MasterCards, right? I had about $30,000 in my retirement account, my 401k, which I also took out. I said, at 25, I can make that up later, right? So basically, I had $100,000 of capital. And that 100,000 got used because once I got going, I needed working capital and so on. But then the business was actually cash flow positive. 9 months after I was doing this, I was able to get rid of this. So after 9 months, my business was producing enough cash flow that I went and resigned. Okay, and we can put that in here as well. So what happened is that I went to my boss and his boss and basically told them that I started a business. It's not competitive with the company, and I'm going to be leaving in 2 weeks, and this is my 2 weeks notice. And basically, that was that, right? And, they sat me down and said, Mohnish, we were so confused for the last 9 months because we met several times because we saw big drop-off in your performance, but it was never so low that we wanted to fire you. I said, exactly. That was exactly what I was trying to do. I was trying to say just above firing level. He said, well, you mastered it. Because we met several times, but we couldn't get rid of you. So what they told me is, they said, look, when your business fails.
So that's basically a secret tip or hack is telling you, if you're working on your side hustle, at work, basically try and do the bare minimum, if that makes sense. I'm not obviously encouraging that, but hey, just make sure the performance doesn't drop too much because you get fired and then you don't have a source of revenue anymore.
Not if your business fails. When your business fails, please come back. We'll give you more money. You're going to get a promotion, and we'd love to have you back. I could immediately come back. So I said I got one free shot where I leave my job, I go, I do this thing, and if it doesn't work, I'm back to almost exactly where I was. Almost no change, right?
Amazon's type 1, type 2 decision-making idea.
And this is not just me. What risk does Bill Gates take? Okay, Bill Gates, what is his value as a Harvard freshman in the job market? 0. Okay, nobody would pay him anything. And he could come back anytime and finish that degree. So let's say he went to New Mexico. Things didn't work out. He's got wealthy parents in Seattle. Okay, he just comes back, graduates a year later, and he goes on. So what was the risk? There was no risk. And if you study entrepreneur after entrepreneur after entrepreneur, what you're going to find, so if we look at Sir Richard Branson, he wants to start an airline. Okay, now to start the airline, you need a jumbo 747. That costs like $150 million.
The plane,
right? That's some serious money. Richard Branson got Virgin Atlantic off the ground with 0 and with 0 risk. So here's what he did. you replace capital with creative thinking. So he calls 206-555-1212, which is directory assistance in Seattle, Washington. And he asks for the phone number for Boeing. Okay, so he calls the main Boeing switchboard.
Boeing sell the planes, right?
Yeah, Boeing makes the 747. So he calls the main switchboard of Boeing, giant, huge company, and says, I'd like to lease a jumbo. And they hang up on him. Okay? He calls about 30 times, and they keep hanging up. And finally, they get tired of his calls, and the lady says, let me put you in touch with somebody who's in charge of leasing, and they can tell you to get lost. Okay, so she transfers him to a person who's actually leasing jumbos. This person tells Richard, says, look, Mr. Branson, in every country, we have one customer. And in the UK, that is British Airways. So we have nothing to talk about. So he said, well, just humor me for a second. He said, if British Airways called you and said that they wanted to lease an old used jumbo, do you have one lying around? So the guy said, as a matter of fact, we do, but that's academic. He said, well, what would you lease it to British Airways for? Just since we're having a conversation.
Curiosity.
What ended up happening is Boeing leased him that jumbo. And the reason they leased him the jumbo is they had one just sitting around. So they didn't really have any risk because they said the moment the guy doesn't make any payments, we're going to pull the plane, right? So now when you have an airline, you sell all the seats 4 months in advance. The cash has already come in. You pay for the fuel 30 days after the plane lands, and you pay for the lease after the plane lands. You don't need any capital. Virgin Atlantic got off the ground with zero capital. Okay, now if you can start an airline which needs a jumbo with zero capital, you can start any business with zero capital.
That's it, boys. We're starting an airline, okay? Let me know the name of your airline in the comment section down below. Whilst you're there, make sure you hit the like button as well. That is so creative, the power of the mind.
Okay,
wow.
So basically, when you look at business after business after business, all of them, what they do is they start small, they're embryonic, they minimize risk, they get a few customers, and then after that, they just roll with the customers, right? And then that's how they get going. So the important thing is that when we take the blue out, when blue is no longer here,
which is work.
Which work is gone, yellow is going to almost double or triple because this is where all the orgasmic activity is.
So we move the work, we quit the 9-to-5 job and we move that time over to working on our startup.
I was working on my startup like from 7 to 9 in the morning. And then I would come back 6 p.m. and work till 10 or 12 in the evening.
When you had a job?
When I had my job. And then I'd work on the weekends. And I was so desperate to just go full time into it because I just said, if you just let me go full time, I can tear it up. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, in about first year, we did 400,000 revenue, second year 1.4 million, third year 3 million, and by the sixth or seventh year we were at about 15, 17 million. It just grew because basically then I had no shackles on me. I could just go full out, right? And the engine, I knew all the statistics of these letters, so many calls, so many this, so much this means this, and all of that, and it works. So, and if it doesn't work, you can go back to your 9-to-5 and give it another shot, So you actually could do this a few times.
I think that's a really unappreciated framework, as you call it, or mental model, which is, because you said you sent 200 letters. So many times kids come up to me in the street and they say, look, I've been looking for a job. I've sent 6 emails.
Yeah.
And they go, no one's got back to me.
Yeah.
And you can see that it's hit their confidence. And now they've actually arrived at the conclusion that getting a job is like hard or impossible because they sent 6.
Yeah.
Now, when I interview people like you, they all give me much bigger numbers. They say 200, 300, 500, And there's something in this sort of law of averages, which is just like, just take more swings. You see it in like cricket.
My daughter, when she was graduating from Berkeley, came to me and I was really surprised. She said, I want to work at a hedge fund. And so I said, okay. And her degree was not in business. So she was not a natural candidate to be even considered. I said, can you make a list of every hedge fund in New York and LA and put it in Excel, managing partner's name, address. Now, we don't know people's email addresses, but we know everyone's mailing address. Okay, the mailing address is a public piece of data.
The address.
The address is easy,
Yeah.
right? And I said that, so she got a list of about 1,200 funds in LA and New York. And I said, what you're going to do is you're going to ask for the job, but you're going to have 2 pages behind that giving them a stock tip. You're going to give them a pitch that you have written up of a company that if they invest in, they're likely to make money. We sent the 1,200 letters, physical letters, okay? All physical letters, no email, right? And there's a 85-year-old guy in New York who gets the letter. He's retired. The fund doesn't exist. It shouldn't have been on the list, whatever. But he has a friend in LA. He says, hey, Jamie, aren't you looking for an analyst? And this girl, she seems to have the perfect kind of background. And she ends up with a higher salary than anyone who went to Berkeley Business School with a much higher GPA than hers.
Wow.
I was thinking about what you're.
So from all we're getting right now is it's all about creativity. Even if you don't have the skills, the qualification, if you've got the guts and the creative mindset, I'm saying go for it. If I was in her situation, having listened to what he just said, I mean, what do you have to lose? Try it. Go and start door knocking. I don't know, if you need a job, just become hungry. Go on Facebook Market and try anything that's outside of the box that normal people aren't willing to do because most likely they're lazy or they're too afraid because like, oh, that's a bit, why would I do that? Why would I knock on someone's door? Why would I send out physical letters? You know, nobody got time for that. Go for it because in this case, you never know.
And I made a video the other day, which I think is somewhat relevant, where I was trying to describe to people how to send a message to someone in a way that creates impact. And the framework that I came up with, which we'll animate on the screen, but is basically, so this axis here is the signal versus noise of the channel you're using. So a high signal channel is one where it gets past the PA, it's less saturated, less busy. A high noise channel, which is the opposite, would be sending an email to the press@yourcompany.com's email.
Sure.
So everyone goes through that path and it doesn't get to the person. And then the other axis is basically the emotional impact of the message.
Yeah.
So high emotional impact is doing what you said, put a stock tip in there, you're going to stand out, they're going to think you're a little bit strange, or what you said about shortening the name, that creates more emotional resonance. And then low would just be AI slop, copy and paste jargon. And really the most successful messages are up here.
Absolutely.
High signal channel, high emotionally resonant.
Absolutely.
But what ends up happening is people send loads of messages down here and then they get depressed and demotivated and say no one's getting back to me. Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan used to say, you miss every shot you don't take.
Yeah.
So basically it is, I think one of the things about entrepreneurs is that you need to have resilience. For me, what the data I was looking for is that if I send 5,000 letters, which takes 25 weeks, 6 months, how many meetings does that end up in? If that ends up with 10 meetings or 20 meetings, well, now I have my number, right? And then the second part is the meeting to close ratio, right? And so to me as a math guy, I was just interested to know that it's not zero. Okay, I just want to make sure. And I could see very quickly it was not zero. Literally within the first 2-3 months, I could see it's not zero.
Every business needs a...
Wow. Let's see the comment section real quick. I'm not even wearing my reading glasses, so hopefully I can read this. As a man, this is quite a long one. As a man in my 40s, I really connected with this. For so long, I've started a business. Mohnish. I realized my 9 to 5 felt riskier, and okay, that's that. I'm looking for something a bit more juicier. That was so innocent and genuine. It was, to be honest with you. It felt very wholesome. He's the most human person I've heard in a long time, and I want to live like that. Very true. He makes the impossible sound simple and achievable. It's so inspirational. I can and will live this way. I've got an idea running with it. Okay. Worst case, I spend 100 hours learning a new skill set or a new skill. Best case, I gain freedom over my time. Let's go. 274 likes now because I just liked it. These are honest, genuine comment, man. Stephen Bartlett, sir, thank you ever so much for this fire content. It really has boosted me and motivated me. Why? And I hope it's done the same for you, because even with this channel, even with several channels that I've started, the beginning is very hard. It's very difficult to get the wheel running, essentially. You know, just like if you had to push a car dead weight, just there, it's very difficult. But once you get that momentum going, the sky's the limit. And then if you sprinkle some creativity on your process or in your journey, you've won. You've genuinely won. So look, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What business will you be starting? How will this impact your life? And smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you ever so much. I'll catch you guys on the next one. God